Hi, everyone. So, I was just making a little list of all the things I wanted to talk about today. But first off, hey everyone, thanks for joining me again. I appreciate when you all show up. It's how we have the conversation. It's so difficult. I don't know why it's so difficult. I don't know why everything has to be so difficult these days. But well, first, I want to say that I got a new internet, so I'm hoping that this kind of bumps up the speed here. Lately, it's been so slow and messed up. But here's what I want to say. So today, I would love to talk about our mental health and taking care of ourselves in this really. Hey, my friend, taking care of ourselves. And the last lives or all the lives I've been doing. I really feel, hey Seth, all the lives I've been doing, I feel have been a little bit negative. And I feel like, I'm really trying to bring a lot of people to this channel who have stories that I think are important. But I also really kind of feel like everything feels so heavy and everything feels so disconnected. And I think we all, on some level, are having a disconnect with happiness and understanding that we are on some level responsible for our own happiness. If we aren't happy, then why aren't we happy? So I'm going to use myself as an example. I've been feeling a little burned out. I've been feeling a little disconnected. I've been feeling a little bit angry. I sad. I feel sad. I feel um just like I don't necessarily relate to the majority of people in the transgender community, which is very sad for me as someone who really values community on some level and values my transition. So it's so weird that I feel this way. And being in this community for such a long time, I didn't always feel this way. I always felt really connected to the trans space, to my transition, to helping others connect to their bodies. But it doesn't feel like that for me anymore. And I don't know if because it's changed on a lot of levels or if I'm just older, but I don't think my age should make me feel that way. And on some level, I think my age should make me feel more attached. And I think on some level, my age should give me more happiness because I am so happy in my transition. Don't get me wrong, I'm so happy here. But why don't I feel happy with what's happening in my and our community? And so that's kind of really what I want to talk about today. Yeah, Sarah, thanks for saying that. So coffee. Coffee is my life force. It's my kryptonite. So why? So here Sarah says this. Your space has been hijacked. Yeah, that saddens me because it doesn't have to be hijacked. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm so different. Right. Right. That's right. I wonder if I'm feeling so pushed away because I'm so different. That's a great point because I am different. I am different than the majority of, I think, the voices right now that are being sort of uplifted in this space. I don't necessarily feel the same as a lot of what's being put out there. I don't feel the same as the narrative that's being said. This is trans. I don't align with that, and that's a very difficult space for me to be in because I will always say transition was the best thing I chose to do. But I will also tell you that it is not, so easy. It is not easy to transition. It takes a lot of oh, thank you, friend. That means a lot to me. Thank you. So Dat says, what your opinion on the California bill that's going to give people who identify as trans $1,000 a month? It's ridiculous. I don't, if you're going to do that, and thank you for that, I appreciate it, friend. If you're going to actually choose one group of people And why are we choosing trans? Why aren't we choosing gay men? Why aren't we choosing lesbians? Why aren't we choosing um, people of color? Why aren't we choosing Asians? Why aren't we choosing? I mean, I could go on and on and on and on and on and on. So I personally don't understand why trans people get $1,000 because they're trans. So now, doesn't that seem to some of you out there that we are rewarding? Are we rewarding people now for being trans? Because that's kind of what it seems like to me. Now, that being said, I mean, I know it's hard to be trans. I know it's hard to sort of walk the world, but it's your choice. You are choosing this path. As I will tell you that I didn't necessarily choose to be transsexual. I chose to transition. Does that make sense? I chose to transition. So does that make me now a person who should be getting $1,000 a month because I chose this? Now, that being said as well, what today we have what's called self ID. So anyone can choose to be trans, and you're going to go get $1,000. So anybody in this room who's not trans, can now choose to be trans. Because I want to know, does anyone know what is the paperwork that you have to show to get your $1,000? What is it? I sometimes here, let's see here. Let's see this. I sometimes wonder if our generation's work to stop bully and be so accepting has backfired on us. When I was young, we'd beat up these kids that was, yep, trans species pooping in litter boxes. It's true, Joshy. Yeah, it's true. Something's amiss here. Something's well, my opinions on NATO, we can definitely have that in another conversation. That should be a whole show. Because I have a lot of different opinions about that. I think that the reason we have it is a good idea, but does it really work, right? So I want to get back to this idea of sort of why I feel disconnected from the transgender community and why many people in our community feel disconnected, and who has taken over the narrative and who is speaking. What is the narrative that speaks for the transgender community? Because I don't relate to it in any way, shape, or form. It does not speak to me. It does not speak to my experience. It does not speak to me as a transsexual man. There are so many reasons why I don't connect, right? It just doesn't. Here, let me show this. Hi, Kylie. Transition is hard. I've got 2 jobs to save up for my surgery. Meanwhile, others are setting up GoFundMe's, exactly, and getting society to pay for them instead of working hard for it. And I'm going to tell you, Kylie, you'll be better off for it. You will be better off. I paid for all of my surgeries. I paid for everything. Back in the day, insurance didn't pay for anything. It's great that everyone has the opportunity now to do that. But I will tell you that I think on some level, when you pay for your own stuff, it gives you this sense of being. It gives you this sense of, I did it on my own and nobody can take that away from me. I've always been against GoFundMe campaigns. I've always been against it because what happens when people don't donate to your GoFundMe campaign? What happens? You become depressed, you become disconnected, you don't like it, you think people hate you. There's a lot of emotional stuff attached to your GoFundMe. And if people aren't going to donate to your GoFundMe, it's going to mess with your head. It on many levels. I've seen kids say that no one's donated to my GoFundMe. I feel so sad. Nobody cares about me. That's why I always try to get people not to do the GoFundMe. Now you have insurance to pay for things. Now you can pretty much go through a system that will possibly pay for all of your hormones, your surgeries, everything. And like that is a huge entitlement. That's incredible to me that you get to have that. So I think today the topic being self-love is something important to me because I believe we've lost self-love in our community. I think that people don't like themselves. I think people who are transitioning, whatever that even means anymore, I feel like there's a lot of disconnect in transition now. I feel like there's a lot of anger attached to transition. I feel like there's a lot of entitlement attached to transition. Hi, Cecilia. Nice to see you. Thank you. You know what happens when you have entitlement? You know what happens when you have entitlement and you have no gratitude and you have just a gimme, gimme, I deserve, it's mine way of thinking. You know what happens? You lose all gratitude for everything in your life and you forget to remember the things you have. Because what I believe today is I'm seeing in the community that things people don't have. Everybody's mad at the things they don't have. Why aren't you happy for the things that you have right now? You might not have everything that you actually want. I don't. I don't have everything I want. I don't. And will I ever have everything I want? Probably not. Probably not. But does it make me angry? No. It makes me work harder. It makes me think, how can I make more money to create this space that I can have these things I want? I don't expect you to give me everything I want, but there's this entitlement attached to this new space in our LGBTQ plus YPZ community that has entitlement. And I think it's being taught, right, Seth? Right, Seth. Seth. Wait, where'd you go, Seth? I wanted to see that. Seth says, gives you motivation. Do you know what motivation is? Motivation is happiness on some level. Purpose. Motivation is purpose. When you realize your purpose, why are you here? Oh, thank you, friend. I appreciate that. You're so sweet. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, friend. Really, that means a lot. When you remember, when you see or feel gratitude and a purpose of why you are here, you start to forget about what you don't have and start to remember what you do have. So let's say, for example, you are getting hormones. Okay. Wow. That's incredible. Are you looking at it that way? Or are you looking at, well, I want my top surgery. I have hormones, but I want my top surgery, or I want this, or I want that. That's not stepping back a moment and living in the moment, right? I think living in the moment creates happiness because what I have learned in my age is when you look over here, which is behind you, right? What you've already done, where you've already come from, and then you look ahead, those are two things that aren't happening. That's already happened, the back. So you've already done that. Now it's a story. And forward hasn't even happened yet. Hasn't even happened yet. So what you're doing is you're putting yourself in spaces that already passed, you can't do anything about it, and haven't even happened. Why aren't you living right here? Why aren't you saying, oh, wow, you know what? I have my surgery, or I have my hormones, or I'm maybe gonna get them, or maybe I don't even have them. Doesn't make you any less of. It makes you know that you will eventually one day get those things. But what are you doing today? What are you doing right now to make yourself happy? Right? What is it that makes you happy today? I want to see some of that. Greetings from around the corner. Thank you, friend. So here, this is great. I don't have everything when it comes to my transitioning, but most importantly, I have my family. Thank you. Thank you for seeing that. Like, this is so, read these. Somebody else give me something nice here. Okay. And I'll here, let's see here. Let me see this. I'm just randomly picking stuff. In all honesty, we need spirituality because yes, I believe in spirituality. If you see all my spiritual things behind me, and spirituality doesn't mean Christianity or Judaism or any kind of organized religion. It doesn't mean that. It means spirituality. It means you have a higher power. It means you can believe. I believe in the universe. That's my higher power. The energies of the universe, the energies of what I bring to the table. When I bring anger, which I do, I will always admit to that. I have a little hot spot in me. When I bring anger to the table, okay, hold on here, then that's what I'm going to get back. I'm going to get angry. I know it. I see it every time I bring anger. Hey, Jayla. Hi, Buck. I'm a 15-year-old trans kid and I socially transitioned since 13 and 14. I still get misgendered by my family. How do I cope with it? Because it causes me a lot of emotional stress. First off, thanks, Jayla. I really super appreciate you. I would love to interview you too. If you can send my dude here, Seth, an email if you're interested. He'll put that in the thing. But you sound very fascinating to do an interview with. So I would love to just talk to you about all of that because, as you know, I'm not really so pro transitioning young people. But I will say that there's always an exception to the rule. Nothing is black and white. So you might be one of those exceptions to the rule. So, but I still get misgendered by my family. So you started transitioning about a year ago and they're misgendering you. So here's what I want you to understand, friend, is that your family knows you from the previous life. Okay. So the family knows you by your birth name and by your birth gender, right? Your birth sex. So it's hard. You got to have some compassion. You can't expect everybody to roll over and play that when you just changed everything for yourself. You're doing this for you, I hope. All about you, friend. But you have to understand there are people who are going to never accept you ever, ever. I want you to know that. Ever. People misgender me constantly. Look at me. I just laugh when they do it because it's clearly so we don't know what the whole scenario is in your family. If they're accepting of you, if they're not accepting of you, or if they're doing it on accident because it took a long time, took years and years and years for my family to stop misgendering me and call me by the boy name. It took years, or the man name, whatever you want to call it. So it's not so easy for your family, Jayla. I really want you to sort of step back for a minute. Here's the, if anyone wants to send an email, there we go. So Jayla, I want you just to step back for a moment and think about what that even means to you. Okay. What does it mean to your family? Okay. I want to bring this back up again. What does it mean to your family that you're transitioning? That's an important part of the equation. And I want you to have some empathy and compassion for your family. And I want you to try to meet them in the middle. Okay. Maybe just like try to start every time they misgender you, be nice. Don't be mean. And I don't know how you're being. If you're being nice, that's excellent. But what I'm trying to say here is, if you come to your parents with, I know it's hard for you, mom and dad, or family, I know this is difficult, I look different, but if you could just sort of try, and then every time you misgender me, I can say, no, it's X, Y, and Z. You help them with compassion. You don't help them with anger. Because people, when you're angry at people and you're telling them, you misgendered me, blah, people just shut down. People just shut down. That's, think about when someone comes at you and they yell at you, Jayla, you just shut down. It's actually a real thing that happens for people. Okay. So does anyone else has any? Jayla, here we go. Thanks, Chloe. Jayla, it will take time. They knew you one way at 13 years. It will happen. Stay strong. There you go. See, we have some really beautiful people in here who really care about you and want you to have your transition to be positive for you. Okay. So Joshy says social transition at a young age is way different than hormones and surgery. Glad this kid found you, Buck. I can't lie. Right on. I'm on, here's the pushback I get from people because, I'm sort of very much in the middle of all of this discussion. You all know that. I try to really create a nuanced discussion. There might be some kids who might benefit from that. But what I'm saying is what I see and how fast we're pushing kids, I don't like it. And I don't really particularly like puberty blockers. But let's talk about social transition. I'm going to say on some level, I was socially transitioned in the 70s, right? In the 60s. I got to be Buck. I got to dress like a boy. We did call it tomboy. But that, to me, that's on some level of social transition. I had an amazing childhood. I've been saying it forever since I've been talking about my transition and my story. I have always told everyone for years I had a great childhood, because my parents let me be that boy and bought me boy toys and let me just be that person. The problem was kind of switching back and forth when I had to wear a dress to church, or, when I joined Girl Scouts. But it's okay. It's okay. Those stressors in life are learning situations. Now, I don't want any kid to be stressed out, but what I do want is a kid to know who they really are by the time they make the choice to transition. And I truly do not believe even a 13-year-old can make that choice. I think a 13-year-old can social transition, wear clothes, be those kinds of things. And I think it's harmless, right? Why I think it's harmless is because you can always go back, right? And Seth makes a really good point. Be patient with your parents. It's so, so important. What's this one? Hold on here. Please make a video about Wrinkle the duck. He is a duck whose parent, Justin Wood, insists his pronouns are she, her. Oh, wow. If you guys can look up in that and I'll check it out. Okay. I'll check that out here. Yes. It took my family years, and even then, I'm still misgendered. Me too. Me too. It took years for my family. I mean, okay, so look at me. I didn't always have this big ass beard, but I always, through my transition, I really looked male. And my dad would still call me the girl name or she, or introduce me as she or his daughter. And people would be like, "What, dude? Are you senile?" And I finally go, "Dad, you're gonna have to get it together, dude, because people are gonna think you're fucking insane if you keep introducing me as your daughter." And it's just not gonna work. So anybody out there whose family is misgendering them or might be doing it during the holidays, I want you to know this. Most of the time, they're not doing it to be assholes. Most of the time, they're doing it because that's how they know you. And I really don't believe intentionally parents want to hurt their kids because they see how it hurts you. So it's why I'm trying to give you these tools to say, "Hey, wait a minute, mom or dad, it's very important to me that you see me this way." And I think if you start having those conversations with your parents and trying to educate instead of expecting your parents to know, that's one of the big problems I find in this community is that this new community expects everyone to know everything about trans, what it means to be misgendered, what it means to have certain. No, 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 no. People are not going to go do their homework. They're not. They're not. It's up to you and me to educate the world on what it means to be a transsexual, what it means for this newer trans identity choice, non-binary. You have to educate people, because if you actually educate your parents and say X, Y, and Z, they're going to think that you are actually giving them knowledge in order to not misgender you. Okay. So that's important to me. Hi, Reed. How's it going, my friend? I watched your debate with Blossom on Amala's show. Oh, gosh. Wow. You have big balls. Well, after how many years of testosterone, my balls are, you have big balls to sit there and take how she treated you. Let's talk about that for a minute. Many commentators said she put the trans community back and love. Yeah. It's kind of true, but that's Blossom, and I let Blossom have her space, and Blossom needed to have more space than me on some level. And I'm not going to get on a show like that, and I'm not going to argue with her about things that she said about me that are completely fabricated and wrong. And she tried to derail the conversation, and that's a bummer, because this is what happened. This is exactly what happened. She did, I think, on some level, put a lot of the community back, and she was being disingenuous on some level, and trying to insinuate that I was racist and that I said things about somebody, and that it was all a lie. She even admitted it. As we were leaving the show, she apologized to me in the elevator about saying that, and I thought, well, why didn't you apologize on air? Why didn't you apologize when we were live? Because when you pull that racist card on somebody like me, I can't sit there and argue with that, because it just makes you look racist. And it's sort of a catch-22. And it's why I just said, wait a minute here. You better factually point that out somewhere and show where this actually happened. And of course, she could not. And she backtracked and said, well, it was alleged. You can't do that stuff. That's just not cool. And so, that's what happens with the universe. And that's kind of what I want to say here. That's the universe in action. When you put out bullshit into the universe and you think you're so smart and you think it's going to get you into a higher space, you're wrong. You're wrong. It might get you into a higher space for a moment, but eventually those lies, that deceit, those sort of gaslighting ways of being are not truthful, they will catch up with you. And that's exactly what happened on that show. And so, yeah, I don't play that game. You know that I don't play that game. And when you come at me with lies like that, I will actually come back at you. So it's rude and disrespectful. And it's a shame that she had to do that to me. As a brown woman, you are not right. I didn't mean to put that there. I was going to get the young lady here, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you, friend. That means a lot to me. It does. And it's gross that we even have to, it's gross, Kalika, that we have to have this conversation. Racism is huge. It's a thing. I hear it. I get it. I know it. I fight against it as much as I can. But for somebody to blatantly say that to me on a show, it really did hurt my feelings. I won't lie to you. It did hurt my feelings. I was diagnosed with gender dysphoria twice at age 8 and 9 and 13 and 14. Wow. That's fascinating to me. So can I get you on my show, Jayla? We'll talk to your parents and see if it's okay. But you sound really fascinating to me. I want to know how you got diagnosed and what it is that and I'm not saying you don't, you probably do, because I probably had it too. Right. And then I would love to know, like, are you on hormones? What's happening with you? Welcome to the life of a straight white man. You're a Nazi. Well, it's not funny. That is true. They call me Nazi, yet I am actually in a Jewish space. My partner's Jewish. Our family is Jewish. I'm converting to Judaism right now. Like, it's just insane that you would even throw the word Nazi out when you have no idea what's going on in my life, and that I live in a very Jewish life. My kid goes to a Jewish school. Like, we're very involved in our synagogue. Like, the fact that somebody would call me a Nazi without understanding that, it's actually disgusting. And that's the anti-Semitism is so out there and it's so disgusting. All we talk about is transphobia. Well, what about shit like that? When you start calling people Nazi, when you don't fucking know what their life is or how they are, and even using that word so loosely, it's fucking gross. Yet we seem to have more compassion for this idea of transphobic behavior. We let everyone fucking fling Nazi around and fascist around like it's a fucking thing. And it's actually insulting and gross. And we need to, oh, thank you. Happy Hanukkah back, my friend. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I find it to be disgusting. And we need to start really checking that shit. Doesn't matter, Buck. It's 2022. Jews can be Nazis too. Oh my God. I mean, I'm going to show that one to the rabbi and see what the rabbi thinks about that. Because that's pretty, I mean, on some level, you're completely right. Oh, I've been to Israel, my friend. Oh, I had the most amazing time when I went to Israel. I went about, I don't know, maybe it's been about 7 or 8 years. I went for the LGBT film festival, and my film was playing, and I was at the gay pride there, and I got treated like such a rock star in Israel. It was amazing and beautiful, and a beautiful people, and I had such a great time. But of course, what happened was that I got shoved into a political space, and people came after me. What are you doing in Israel? Blah, blah, blah. I go, look, you better knock it off. I'm here for a reason. I'm not here for the political space. I'm here to help people learn about people like me, so that we can all start to move forward. So, and the line of teachers, therapists, counselors waiting to affirm yes, red lines, yes. What are we going to do about this? What are we going to do about all of these disingenuous, because they are, you and I both know that, therapists who are on this affirmation space, this affirmation to affirm a 5-year-old who is trans. Okay, here we go. Let me read this one right here. I consider anti-Semitic an actual pandemic. It is. I saw flyers out by my house that were so anti-Semitic and disgusting, and swastikas, and I love Jews. Data one, study the history, and hate against them is atrocious, but society needs to blame Christian. Yeah. We need to have the conversation. It's so profound, and it's just, no, don't worry. You didn't insult. I know what you were doing, friend. someone, all right, where is that? Part of the reason why we switched to homeschooling our kids was to pull them away from the agenda that's yes. What state are you in? One row. I'm in California. It is so scary. My kid goes to a private school. Thank God I have the means to do that. But I think I want to put him in a private school in another year or so, and I'm hoping it calms down because I do want him to be more in a more realistic space. Private school is private school. It's not necessarily real life. Oh, Minnesota. Yeah. So I think it's everywhere, really. I think so. Right. So that being I started blockers. I started blockers when I just turned 14 and will start hormones at 16. Wow. So again, if you can email Seth, I'd really like to get you on and have the conversation about how you're feeling. Are you not concerned with your long-term health, friend, from the puberty blockers and your parents? I'm wondering how they feel about that. A question to get back on track. How do trans or young people with gender dysphoria take care of into their own hands? It seems like the medical community right now is hard to trust. Well, also, I'm not sure taking care into our own hands on some level it is great, but on another level, that's kind of a difficult question. There's a lot of nuance here because what does that even mean to take care into your own? I think a person of adult status can now do that because we have places on the internet where you can order testosterone without even really seeing a doctor. You can actually just start administering testosterone yourself. You don't have to necessarily go through a system. You don't even need to go to therapy anymore. You can just go and have a 15-minute intake. So really, Joshy, it's at their fingertips as it is. Now, when you're a young person, there's a whole other thing going on there, because a young person is trusting, like a young person like this young person right here, Jayla. I would love to do an interview with you and talk about everything. Oh, thank you, friend. Everybody would love to hear your story and get your perspective on the puberty blockers, on why you were diagnosed, how you were diagnosed. Because I do think if we can really get a more nuanced understanding of what this even means, and when you and your parents are willing to go through this and see at the other end, maybe you're willing to take on the health problems that will probably arise. And in fact, they will. We all know that. Maybe you're willing to take that on in order to live this life. And as I am as when I transitioned at 30, I was willing to take all of the risks as a 30-year-old. But my question always comes back to you young people, especially a 13-year-old who started puberty blockers. Do you really think you have the capacity to understand the long-term health problems? I personally don't think so, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, and I don't want to overthink you, and I don't want me to be this old trans man who's saying that's not, because that's not true. It's just my kind of questioning to, do you think you as a 13-year-old actually have the capacity? Everyone wants to hear your story, friend. So send it to Seth, and he'll get us set up. But I'm just and in no way, I hope you don't feel like I'm being disrespectful to you, Jayla. But I just wonder. I really do. I have a 10-year-old, and I just wonder, is it possible that you can make that life, altering choice, because you're going to have some health benefits. I mean, health problems. The benefits of transitioning it early are there. You're not going to have certain characteristics, but is that more important for you not to have the characteristics than to have healthy puberty and growth of the things that the blockers are blocking? I don't know. And I think that's why we need to sort of talk with all of the people here. Here we go, Jayla. This is the email. Anyone who wants to email or send any suggestions or anything, Seth takes care of all of that for me. He's a good guy. I'm very lucky to have him working with me. So wait, I want to see this about mermaids. Thought was mermaid, but my mom didn't drop me off. Okay, never mind. Sorry, I thought you were talking about mermaids. Get off my lawn, old man. No, that's totally me. Get off my lawn, old man. Totally. Because I am that old man. That's funny because I want to go back to that interview I did with Blossom, or debate, whatever you want to call it, with in Amal on Amala's channel on Prager U. You know, I kept getting this sort of space from Blossom, who kept using my age. She kept trying to use my age as a way of saying, I'm too old. You don't know anything. Things have changed. The way we do it now is like this, not like this. And I kept thinking to myself, that's ageist. That is so ageist. And she kept throwing that bomb at me. First the race thing, then the age thing, then the transex. She just kept throwing all these negative sort of spaces at me. And I was like, but wait a minute. As far as I remember, people who are older in these types of spaces were always looked at and revered as a means and a way to get information. I mean, why wouldn't you want the information I have in order to make a better choice? I don't understand that. But there's a lot of ageism happening. And I get pushed on with my age, that I'm too old, that I don't know anything, and I don't care. I really don't care. But I want to bring light to that. I want to bring light to why now is being older, especially in a situation like this, looked down upon, as opposed to, or why are you picking and choosing what voices in this community are amplified and what voices in this community are not amplified, right? This is something I think as a community we should really talk about, because who gets to amplify what voices, and what voices are better than other voices? This is the part where I call bullshit. I call bullshit on this community. It is not inclusive. It is not diverse. And there is not equity. So I don't, or equality, or whatever you want to call it. It's a bunch of bullshit. When you start to push against older generations and calling them true scum and calling them sort of turfs and all of the things some of you young people push back, that makes me think something's not right. Not right. And when you start to beat up elders in our community, LGBT community, elders that have done so much, not me, I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about elders before me. And do all of you know who Fred Sargent is? Let me drink the rest of my coffee. I'm going to give you a minute. Do you know who Fred Sargent is? Thanks for showing up to listen. Well, yeah, look how boomer is a slur. Look at how boomer is now a slur. Society has been telling 20-year-olds that they know more and are going to save the world. Sorry, they didn't have the time. I mean, can you imagine? This is what they're highlighting. They're highlighting a 20-year-old who has very little experience on even just life. And I find that to be on some level infuriating. I don't know or interact with anyone in the community and don't consider myself part of it. A community is something that helps each member. There you go. I agree. I'm the same way. It's why I left the community, and I don't want to be part of it. Okay, here we go. So I don't know. Let me see. Okay, I'm going to tell you who Fred is right now. Okay. So yes, Stonewall, shout out to right on, to covered his assault. Right on, Christina. Okay, so guess what? Guess what? Guess what? I keep repeating myself. Wait, I lost it. Here it is. I keep repeating myself. Tell us who Fred is. So I got an interview with Fred Sargent, and it's going to be the next one up. I did it a couple months ago, right after the assault, but it got a little bit messed up. The video, I had to like really work to try to get to save it. But here's in a nutshell. Fred Sargent was one of the first people in the Stonewall riots. He is a iconic, just Google him. If anyone can do that, I can even put like a little thing here. If you do that, I'll put it up here. He's an iconic LGBT member. He is 74 years old now, and he fought for our rights. And he's an amazing human being, a beautiful man, a gay man. He sees all the bullshit going on in this community. Oh, I'm not going to give away all of it because the interview is powerful. But in a nutshell, Our our elder Fred Sargent went to a LGBT pride event in Vermont, and he got beat up. He got actually physically beat up. Do you know when I was editing? I'm such a crybaby. When I was editing the video, I cried. I started to cry because I couldn't even believe I was listening to this story. It's going to blow your mind. He actually got beat up by trans activists. Put that in your ear. Fred Sargent, an original Stonewall gay man, got beat up by trans activists. That should tell you everything. That should tell you everything. It is unfucking believable. That's not a trans community, people. It is not a trans community. Do you know people like Fred helped me transition? Gay men were my number one support group. Nobody else. It was gay men who helped me transition. It was gay men who stood by me. It was gay men who walked me through the surgery. It was my gay friend who filmed my actual top surgery. It was gay men who took me to the gym. It was gay men who helped me find my masculinity. I can go on and on and on and on and on. And then trans activists hit him in the head, threw coffee on him, took his cane. He has walking problems. I mean, literally when I'm actually editing it, you guys, I'm crying and I'm like, this cannot be happening in our community. And why are we not talking about this? And I will not let this be shoved under the fucking rug. We need to hold the trans activists responsible for this. And they should be arrested. I don't give a fuck if you're trans. Go fuck yourself. That does not have anything to do with trans. That has to do with violence, homophobia, and disrespect for our community. You don't belong in this community. If you hurt or touch any other person in the LGBT community, what if that was a non-binary person? Let's just do a little hypothetical here. What if that person, let's say Fred Sargent was a non-binary queen, okay? Let's just say that. And he got his ass kicked by a gay man. What do y'all think's going to happen then? You think those gay men who beat up the non-binary queen are just going to walk away? You think that? Or you think that the non-binary community is going to be in an uproar and say shit about it and get those people arrested? I say the latter. They're going to get those gay men and put them in jail. So on the reverse of that, why are we not holding those trans activists responsible? That's not activism. That's insanity. That's hate. That's what we are here today to discuss. The hate. Where's the self-love? Where's the love for our community? Where's the love for the fact that we get to march in parades and talk about kissing each other and marrying each other and loving each other and having babies with each other and sort of becoming part of the world? Where's the love for that? What are you protesting? Because you don't need pride is about protest. Do you all understand what we have pride for? You should be able to go to a pride event. The pride was originated in order to push back. Pride was originated to say, hey, wait a minute. These are the things that we don't have, that we need, that we want. And in our community, we should be able to say that. When you don't get to go to a pride parade and push back, we've lost it. It's not pride anymore. On top of it, they don't want gay people at pride anymore. They don't want lesbians at pride anymore. It's all queer and trans now. They've co-opted the whole space. Gay people aren't even welcome anymore. Thank you, friend. That means a lot to me. I appreciate you very, very, very much. Very much. Oh, is Ariel here? I didn't see. Hey, friend. Nice to see you. You know, Oh, I love you. I love you. I love this lady. This lady is one of my favorite ladies. We've been friends for millions of years. Have we been friends for millions of years? She's straight up. She's real. She doesn't talk. She talks straight up stuff. She does not talk shit. And it's why we and her are friends. And, I heard once someone say that Ariel was transphobic, which made me laugh my ass off. Because that's the hypocrisy of this community. And, like 7 years, friend. That's right. So, this is how a community acts. We coexist. I lived in the lesbian woman space. I'm no longer a gay woman, but I respect that space with all my heart. I would never show up to a gay woman space unless I was actually invited, but I would never. And this idea that, anyone can just be a lesbian is complete bullshit. That is bullshit. Now, if you're a trans woman who identifies as a lesbian, that's fine. I don't really give a fuck what you do, but you need to sort of give yourself, okay, this idea that you have to walk into that space if they are going to be cool about it. You don't get to just walk into that space because you say you're a lesbian. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. And I guarantee you, if you were to chill out as a trans woman who identifies as a lesbian and you made an effort to look like a woman and you came into those spaces, I will guarantee you most of those gay women are going to be super chill with you. And they're probably going to invite you to sit at the table with them. But the shit I see today and the way you all think you can just be a man with a beard and a mustache and then just say I'm a lesbian, you think the lesbians are going to be okay with that? What world do you live in? I'm not okay with it. I remember being a lesbian and not wanting to be around certain kinds of people. We need our own space. We need our own smell. We need our own space. Gay women need their own space. Fuck off. It's already been hard enough for women to get into those spaces. You know what I mean? So I don't understand why it's so important that we say anyone who says they're a lesbian. Oh, so I saw this new definition of lesbian. It said a lesbian is a non-male identified attracted to another non-male identified. No, it is not. You can't change the definition of something that's already in use. Create your own space. Why don't you just be trans lesbians? Why don't you create a trans lesbian club and get your own shit going on and make it powerful? And if lesbians want to go over to the trans les space, yay, right on. But when you just infiltrate into a space that has been so difficult to build, number one, and how do I know that? Because I was in it. Number two, there's barely even any fucking lesbian bars left in the world anymore. So you're just gonna go and like take it over. Do you know how weird that is? Do you know how that's like very misogynist? Do you understand even what misogyny is? Let me give you the example. Oh, thank you, friend. That means a lot to me. Thank you. The TRA attack women who just assembled to talk about. I know. I saw it. I saw the one in New York City. It fucking blew my mind. Where is everybody? Fuck off. You don't get to talk to women like that because you're a trans woman. You don't get to attack women and tell them you're going to kill them and beat the shit out of them and this punch is safe for you. That is pure 100% violence against women, misogyny. It has nothing to do with a woman. And why would we all just put up with it like it's okay just because they're trans women? I'm not sitting here and being okay with it. And that does not make me transphobic. It does not make me hate trans women. I have a shit ton of trans women friends who actually understand what I'm saying and believe it, because all the trans women friends I have look like fucking women. They make an effort to look that way. They want to walk the world that way. They're the ones who actually get invited to the lesbian spaces because they don't talk about being trans women lesbians. They're just passing trans women. They look very lady. They get invited to the space and no one gives a fuck. It's real fucking easy. But when you choose to be non-binary, lesbian, whatever the fuck else you're going to be, and you don't look like that, good luck and deal with it. Because the world's tired of it. We're tired of rolling over and saying, oh, trans women, fuck off. You know what? Trans women are important. They're very important. Very important. But they must understand where they're coming from. And in order for you to actually coexist, because that's what you're going to do as a trans person, you're only going to coexist in this world. You're not going to run this world. You coexist in this world. And for you to coexist in this world, you have to understand the laws of the society, the laws of biology, the laws of community, tribalism, all of those things. There's actual laws attached to those. And I won't shut up. And I'm not transphobic. I'm allowed to have these conversations. I am a born biological female who lived in a biological female space for most of my life. I was a gay woman. I was a butch woman. I lived in those spaces. We used to hate it when fucking dudes would show up. It's our space. We don't want men in there. And trans women have to start to learn how to respect that, whether you like it or not. Once you start to understand your space and the nuance in it, you will be invited. But until you stop running over these spaces, thank you very much, friend. I appreciate it. The new generation are changing language, redefining words. That's right, to perpetuate victimhood. In essence, this says, that's right. Don't you see that they're changing words for a reason? Don't you see they're trying to say biology isn't part of being anything, that it's social? Don't you see that they're trying to do that, to dismantle? And we're letting 1% of what do this too? I'm not part of that. I'm not part of that. I know exactly who I am. I know exactly why I'm here. I know exactly how I walk the world. I know exactly where I'm wanted, where I'm not wanted, how I navigate the world. It's pretty fucking simple, people. But when you think you're entitled to every other fucking space, you're not. You're just not. You're not. You're right, friend. Big gay Dave. Big gay Dave. And thanks for that. The definition of what constitutes a child is next. Oh my God. Really? Really? I mean, really, who would even think we're having a conversation like this in the first fucking place? But next thing you know, I don't know. We're going to start numbering kids. We're going to start not giving them genders at birth. Oh, wait a minute. I think somebody's already fucking doing that. I mean, come on. And I don't care. I look, this is my space right here. And I see what some of you people say after I do my lives, and you go all over and you're like, Buck is so transphobic. Look at it. Go ahead. That's why I do this. Take it all, rip it, put it up there. All you're doing is giving me great PR. I don't give a fuck. I'm not shutting up, and you can't make me shut up. I'm entitled to say what I need to say as a biological female who struggled in my life and created the space for me not to struggle anymore. I have every right to speak out. If you get to speak out and you get to say things I actually disagree with, why the fuck don't you think I get to actually counterpoint that? Why can't I have a different opinion? That's where you're dumb. Because if you think that I don't get to have a different opinion, and if you don't think I don't do this in order to help other people stand up and hopefully inspire other people to say the things I'm saying, you're sorely misjudging me, because I don't need to shut up. I have my own platform. I built this for a reason. I'm here for a reason. I don't give a fuck if you all hate me. It doesn't matter to me. The children matter to me. What we're doing to children matters to me. What we're doing to this transgender space matters to me. This space gave me the freedom to live my life. I owe this space everything. I owe this space everything you see here. And for me not to speak out would mean I don't care about what this space gave me. I care so much that I'm willing to risk what you all say about me. That's what you need to see. I care so much that I'm willing to get hate from a community I helped to build. That's how much it matters to me. So when you come after people like myself and Ariel and Blair and Marcus and all of us who feel the need to speak up because we are part of this, you don't understand anything. And all you think you can do is shut people down because you're going to say this and that. That's not how life works. That's not how life works. You're going to have to start. You're going to have to start to realize people disagree with you. People are disagreeing more and more with you. What you are putting out in the world is not reflective of what I see as a transsexual person. What you are putting out in the world is hate and anger. I am trying to sweep up that mess. I don't want the world to see me as an angry tranny. I want the world to see me as a happy person who used a medical space in order to fix my problem so that I could move forward in the world. That's it. That's all trans has ever been. And that's all trans should be, is to fix a problem and to move forward. You're not supposed to live in your diagnosis. Do you know that? Do you all even understand that? You're not supposed to live in your diagnosis. Thank you, Candy. That means a lot to me. Thank you, friend. Never would I bend. I'm not that person. If any of you know my history, you know me very well. I've been here for a long time. I work in the adult entertainment business, and you don't think you get shit for that? You get tons of shit for that. I've built a thick skin and a wall around me, and I know how to come to this. So let me just get this one last question here. Hi, hey, Buck, did you see the news from Scotland today? No protected safe spaces for women and children, and sex offenders can self-ID and keep... Oh, it passed? What happened to Scotland? My grandfather's from Scotland. Oh, wow. I'm so sorry. We'll talk about this. We need to have a big meeting about this. I am so sorry. I'm not going to visit Edinburgh now. I'm done. I'm going to actually boycott. Holy crap. Thank you, friend. Wow, that's so super sweet. I really appreciate that. As a straight woman looking in from the outside, I want to say that I think you are such a blessing to this community. I'm grateful for all you do and that you advocate for cis women as well. I am loathe. So do I. It's another label. They did that. You know, that's why stop using cis. Just stop. I don't use cis. I say women and trans women. I'm sorry that this has happened to you, but we've literally brainwashed people into thinking they have to say cis or they're transphobic. You don't have to say cis. Women are majority of the women. Trans women are a different space, and they're very small. How did we get here? How did we get to where now we're being told how to actually say things? How did we get to a space where we're being told how to speak, and if we don't speak, we get put in fucking jail? Do you not all see how fucking detrimental that is to our democracy here? You all think you're doing the right thing. You're doing the wrong thing. When you start to okay this sort of language policing, when we have to sort of say that trans women are women, when that's not true. Trans women identify as women. Big difference. Women do not identify as women. Women were born women. Trans women identify as women. Those are two fucking different things. But when we're being told, when our brains know exactly what's going on, we're being gaslit. We're all being gaslit to start to speak in a way that they control our language. And when we don't speak the way they're controlling our language, we get put in jail? Do any of you even understand what fascism, communism, all of that shit is? You live in a democracy. You are born and raised and live in a democracy. You don't even understand how detrimental that is to our democracy. If you push back on that, you are part of an actual democracy. But if you actually join in on that, you are no longer part of a democracy. You are now part of fascism, communism, control. And the government is now controlling our own speech. When they go into a dictionary and change the actual definition of what a woman is, and you are all okay with it, you are part of the problem. You are part of the problem. So good luck. Good luck when we lose our democracy, and good luck on what the fuck's going to happen. Because once we lose our democracy, done. Done, done, done. That's the history. People read history. Get off the fucking internet and go start reading stuff about history, about communism, about all of that shit. It'll scare the crap out of you. It's why you've got to stop using that language. That language is control language. And I know you did that, Sage, to be respectful, but it's not respectful. It's not respectful to be told how to speak. If people don't like it, they can fuck off. That's all you got to say. I don't care. I don't need to conform to the way you tell me to speak. Why do we have to conform to the way they tell us to speak, yet they don't have to conform the way we want to speak? Why? None of you can answer that. Civil wars are coming. I'm going to take this one last question and then we're out of here. Trans is a belief. It isn't tangible like chromosomes. The freedom of religion is the freedom of belief. I don't have to believe the same. Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. All the people who are here are brilliant. You all send me such great stuff. You get it. We're all free thinkers here. We're all free thinkers. We're all about democracy. Why do you think so many people have left the Democratic Party? There's no such thing anymore as a liberal way of thinking. It's left or right. It's I'm right, you're wrong. That's it. There's no fucking middle ground. I'm a middle ground. Fuck you. You are not going to tell me how to speak. I don't live in communist fucking China. And if you want to do that, go fucking live there. And I guarantee you, your ass will be running back here more than you would. I've been all over the world, people. I've lived in Mexico for 10 years. There is a big fucking difference. You don't know because you've never had it. And guess what happens? You don't know shit until you have it. That's a real thing. You don't know shit until you have it. And when you lose your freedom, because you have so much freedom, you are going to freak. We have enough time to push back on this. We have enough time to make sure that all of these definitions don't get twisted into some illogical space that hurts all of us. All of you have a beautiful, 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 beautiful holiday. I'm going on a vacation with my family. I'll send pics because it's going to be insane. A bunch of my family. And I'm going to take a break. So next week I won't have a live, but I think I'll try to pre-record something and give it to Seth to put up. I have a great new interview coming up in the next day or so. I want you all to celebrate life, okay? Celebrate life, your family. If you're feeling down and out, please look for somebody you can have a conversation with. Give people love. Let's try not to hate. Let's try to understand what's going on here is that we're being manipulated. We're all being manipulated, all of us. And so let's try to put out a little bit of understanding in the next week or so. It's going to be tough because the holidays are coming and they're always so insane. But I want you to know that I appreciate all of you a lot. It means the world to me that you have these conversations with me and that we're able to use this platform in order to have these sort of conversations because they're important to me. And until we start to understand that love is part of healing. Love will help us heal. Understanding that our opinions are different. It doesn't mean we have to hate each other. Learning how to have conversation again. Learning how to push back on each other without hating each other. These are all great tools that we all need to start to learn to have. And we've lost all of it. We've lost all the way to have a conversation because we've been taught how to hate on each other. We have been not taught to have conversations, even though we have different opinions. And that is really why I'm here. So I really want to start to have these mending spaces and so that we can start to learn to sort of move to the world together as opposed to in all these fucking mixed up spaces. Sending you all a lot of love, my friends. And I really appreciate you. You mean a lot to me. And thanks for all the tips and everything. That also means a lot to me. And have a beautiful holiday. And I'll talk to you all later. And I'm going to end it, but it always takes a long time to end.